Wrestlepalooza just wasn't it for us, and the greatest of all time is down to just 5 dates remaining, 3 of which are monthly PLEs. This is the Golden Shovel Podcast, your weekly roundup of all things WWE storytelling. Let's get right in it. We're back. It's a 3-man booth. Ross has recovered from AIDS. Ross, how are you doing?
That's not where I thought that was going.
It's the good AIDS. Obviously, it's the good AIDS, not the bad
Apparently.
AIDS.
Yeah, no, all good. I think we're going to have an interesting discussion here about what we thought about Wrestlepalooza, because I think we've got some slightly differing opinions on it, but good to be back as always, gentlemen.
Slightly different opinions, but if you've watched this on YouTube and you've seen the thumbnail I put it together, you've got a good idea about my opinion is. Daz, how are we after that weekend?
Well, hello, folks. Yes, it's likely that based on the initial reactions in Discord, Saunders and I are likely to align in these opinions. But no, pretty ass card to follow up, but pretty interesting Monday Night Raw that followed, so I'm all in. Let's do it.
I'll preface the whole thing, and we'll probably get to this as we go through, that I think I was the only person to watch the full thing live. I know, Daz, you were up to... Did you stay up and watch the full thing?
Yes,
I thought
good of you.
I thought you fell asleep.
No, I had to move. I stopped tweeting because the fucking thing was dog shit. But no, I did unfortunately see it to the very bitter end.
Ross certainly watched it for having seen the prevailing thoughts, which may or may not. May have attempted to watch it from a different point of view, I think, is a way of looking at it. We'll just start on Friday night a little bit, and we have just touched on it in our pre-pod discussions. There was obviously news last week we were expecting the triple threat, Tiff, Jade and Nia to be added to the card. That's coming to you as our SmackDown resident expert. It was all over the merch in Indianapolis, and then at last minute they bumped it. The initial thought was it was Tiffany was still recovering from injury. It seemed to be it was purely a timing issue, which,
yep,
if you look at the run time for some of these matches, I can understand why. It's a strange one, isn't it? Because Nia we expect to be good food for Tiff, but I actually think Tiff's pinned Nia relatively cleanly twice. I think she's pinned Jade 3 times, maybe even 4 times now, including what was an okay match at SummerSlam. We've been underwhelmed by this championship run. Surely the ship has sailed for neither of they two to be the right person to take the title from Tiffany.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at with it. I think we're at a point on SmackDown where we only have so many plausible challengers in the mix right now, and we're just replaying. And it maybe doesn't scream so obviously because we've had like Trish Stratus in the middle, and it's kind of broken it up a little bit, but that was never really a viable challenger. So I think we do need, we've spoken about it multiple times, some fresh faces in that main event scene on SmackDown. But I do think that these two have been beaten convincingly by Tiffany on a couple of occasions each. So I suppose the only way it makes sense is to have one of those two pin the other, and that way Tiffany doesn't actually get pinned. But I don't think I would take the title off Tiffany to put it on either of those two, but I would definitely lean towards Nia Jax before I would lean towards Jade Cargill. But then it's a new era, isn't it? The new ESPN era. You've got a new Women's World Heavyweight Champion for the first time. It might just be what they want. It might be what they're pushing for. I was sad to see it get bumped off the card. Obviously, if it's for Tiffany's health, then that is 100% the right thing to do. But given how lacklustre the actual main card was, I think it would have really lifted it to have another decent women's wrestling match on the card instead of I won't say wastes of time, but because they did all of the matches in essence furthered the story in some capacity a little bit.
Apart from the one that we're going to
apart from the first one, which we'll talk about in great depth, but the main card matches, they did further stories, so they did serve a purpose. But I think this one would have been a lot better if we could have got it onto the card. So yeah, I'm patiently waiting for something exciting and new and vibrant to happen in SmackDown. I'm kind of sick of seeing Sami Zayn, and I'll get to Sami Zayn when we talk a little bit more about SmackDown and my thoughts on that. But yeah, I think Tiffy's probably going to retain on Friday, if I'm honest.
Us as the as our NXT expert, is Tiffany's proper next big feud sitting in NXT right now?
Maybe, though there is obviously a couple that they could call up and things have kind of slowed down a little bit. There's a logjam in NXT, we spoke about this a few times, where they could do with shuffling things around. The main roster needs it, NXT could need it. I think 2 or 3 of the women's superstars could quite easily move up, and others could then be found in that shuffle pretty easily. It's just a question of who. Like, Jordan Grace is the one that we spoke about on here numerous times and was deliberately held back to give Blake Monroe that first big feud, and it's working. I would say that's a good feud. And Blake Monroe won't go up, I think, until at least the middle of next year, because I think she's going to be allowed to dominate in NXT for a while.
Blake's been tweeting Tiffany on X. She's been tweeting at Tiffany, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting.
That would be interesting, like to have her like sort of basically come up and then immediately go in. I mean, I wouldn't hate it because she's box office in the ring and everything else. It could work. But this supposed shuffle, however they want to do it, if they are going to treat NXT as a proper third brand, it just needs to happen soon.
I will no dive into that. That might be a deep dive for a future squash, because we have discussed on multiple podcasts that NXT does feel itself stuck. Almost on the women's side, you get these people who they're not just good wrestlers, they are elite. You know, Stephanie Vicker, Julia, Jordan Grace, Blake Monroe have all been essentially world champions or at that level elsewhere, and conceivably only went to NXT as part of the whole, you're coming into WWE as new, you will learn our way of business first, which there's people on the main roster, one is in the triple threat next this week, that should have probably done the same thing. So whereas on the men's side it feels like to get to the top, and we've said this before, they're not quite ready for the main roster, there's not quite a spot for them, but they can't go backwards. Oba Femi's the prime example. Like, I know they've got this tonight, this unification match that won't actually end in a unification match. It's clearly going to be a TNA invasion, leading to something of War Games weekend, I would assume. My prediction for that is that Joe Henry will turn on TNA. That's another prediction.
They have kind of sort of gave the game away on that a little bit already, which I think is a little bit disappointing, because I know that we all want it to happen, but I think they would have been better off just not saying, by the way, he's an NXT superstar now.
I know, but I think you've got a situation where he is a ticket seller, isn't he? For an event like that, he's an attraction, so they've got to do that. And you mentioned it, Daz, so we'll cover it here before we hit up, because I'm really, really, really trying to delay talking about Wrestlepalooza for as long as possible here. But the Sami Zayn US Open Challenge is a potentially great tool. Would it be fair to say that the most important thing would be, well, most important things, 3 things. One is make sure we're elevating talent. So we've said this, it's just every week. Like, people like Melo, put them in wrestling matches, let them be good. They'll get over. They don't have to do other things. The second thing is it does need to be on a PLE at some point, or Saturday night show, not just a Friday night every week, because they've only got an hour and a half on SmackDown for matches anyway. And if you'd never showcase it on the main event level show, you're kind of always saying that it's setting fiddle to other things. The final thing is they have to get whoever gets the rub at the end of this run right. Because when Cena's done it, he's dropped it to people who have moved on to bigger and better things eventually. So would that be fair to say? Those 3 points are
100%,
so key in this?
Yeah, 100%. I really like that it's refreshing that he's brought it back, and it's good to see the title being defended on a weekly basis, regardless of whether I know I like the guy or think he's a great. It's great for the title. It really, 100%. Really is, and I think it really leans into the fact that Cody is going to be part-time for quite a lot of this year, by the looks of it, that we're going to have a main event superstar, if you want to call Sami that, defending a title week in, week out, because it deflects away from the fact that your main champion isn't necessarily defending and blah blah blah. So anyway, I've only got 2 real gripes with the way the Open Challenge is run right now. One of them is, like you say, about who gets the rub at the end. I think we're using the wrong superstars right now. Right, because we've done Rey Fenix, we've done Carmelo Hayes, and see, to be honest, those are two guys who probably should be near the front of the queue to take that title.
It's too early, so
I'm
you know
just
they can't
worried
win
we're
it.
going to run through these guys far too early. Because I'm watching, Rey Fenix is a perfect start, obviously after Cena, but Melo's probably one of the fans' favourites to take that title. That's probably one of the ones they want to see the most. And I just think that there must be other talent that they can wrestle right now to help build this open challenge to a point where guys like Carmelo Hayes and maybe like Aleister Black or Damian Priest actually want to be a part of this. Which leads me to my biggest gripe with it overall. Stop telling us who the open challenge is and let it be an actual open challenge.
Yeah,
have
just
Sami
tell us
in the
that it's
ring
going
and just
to be
let
a segment.
yeah, we've already established it's going to be happening every week. That's already been established. So just have Sami in the ring and have someone's music come out. Keep it a surprise for everybody as much as possible, because Dirt Sheets get their hands on everything. But
have multiple people's music hit and even have them wrestle each other to get a shot at Sami. There's ways to buy a week, buy 2 weeks at a time.
I do think they've maybe alluded a little bit to this, because obviously Miz done commentary on Friday night and was very good at it. And he made a really good point that if Melo was to win the title, there would be no open challenge. You would have to earn the right to wrestle Carmelo Hayes for the US title. And I don't necessarily disagree. I think the open challenge is great to build new and upcoming talent. I just think that Sami should take this on tour a little bit and maybe take it down to NXT and wrestle some other guys. Because like you say, you've only got an hour and a half on SmackDown. And right now, 40 minutes of that has been swallowed by Sami Zayn. It's just the way it's going right now. And that's not Sami's fault either. He's just been booked the way he's been booked. It's a really, really good addition to SmackDown. It just needs a few tweaks to think it'll be great. However, we're running out of credible people already to get the rub. So I'm really intrigued to see where it goes.
It's fair to say that anybody who's lined up, I would say, before that Saturday night's main event in mid-December, you can probably say they're not winning it that night. I think that would be that's roughly when you start to say, right, if Sami's moving on to another story, whether it's a Rumble or whether it's a Mania path, that's the I'm not saying that's when it will happen, but that's the earliest you can start to see.
Because how many weeks have you got left between now and the Royal Rumble? How many weeks have we got left?
You've only got 14,
got 10,
15
12.
weeks.
Yeah, right. Do you think there are 15 credible challengers?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
do you know what I mean?
If he's in the ring, he says, I want a challenge on Damian Priest music hits and then Aleister Black's music hits, and it's like, well, number one contenders match. It buys you a free week, but it's still like people wanting a title, and the title being on telly every week elevates the title and elevates the people.
100%.
That's
100%.
And
that's what's missing.
The simplest thing in wrestling. Put it in front of people.
And do you know something? I don't know why they've waited this long. They should have done it with the women's title. Because Julia's run's been awful, and that's not Julia's fault. Open the floodgate, there's about fucking 100 women in NXT who could step up, have a 10-minute wrestling match. Kalani Jordan, Lash Legend. Pick whoever you like. It makes also, Julia look good.
Julia can be on NXT cards on Saturday afternoon.
100%.
Before a PLE.
Because we're not booking her on a PLE anyway.
No. And I'm the same as you. I think I agree the whole, who's it going to be? Music catch, bang, big pop. Just it helps. And
look at some of the biggest ones: Sami Zayn himself, Kevin Owens, John Cena, obviously at one point. Like
back in the day,
yeah, it's one of the things.
It's also an easy one for somebody's return. But I
get it. They want to sell tickets. I get why TKO are doing it. And because Sami Zayn versus Carmelo Hayes for a Friday night is good TV. There's no getting around. That's two good wrestlers in a wrestling match.
And whilst we now have to move on to Wrestlepalooza, we'll just note, and we'll come back to the next week's podcast. It does appear that Solo has ditched MFT. So is that a whole lot of Samoans and Tongans and Pacific Islanders about to be future endeavoured? Because he has ditched all the shit ones.
Civil War?
I don't think they'll be future endeavoured. I think they've been taken off TV until such times as they've got a story for them. Because the MFT wasn't working. And it's been the same as Division. It's been lacklustre, and it's easier to make the call on Solo when he's not got the title. And I think that's maybe why they took the title off him. It's easier to disband the MFT and rebrand them. I'm wondering if the other Tonga / Tala / whoever is the other tag team brother is almost ready to come back. I'm wondering if he's close to being fit to come back into the fold. And I'm hoping that Solo's repackage propels him back towards. I'd like to see him maybe answer the US challenge at some point and win his title back. That'd be good.
So, which I want Wrestlepalooza, I'll just take this quick opportunity to plug our TikTok, Twitter pages, X pages. You'll find all the details in the link down below. When it's PLEs, you usually see Daz live on X, and usually we're following along on TikTok and we're doing some extra content on there leading up to it and over the course of the weekend. So get involved in the conversation. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and of course, pitch Saturday squash episodes for us, because tonight's episode that we're recording for Saturday is going to be our NXT Mount Rushmores, which has been heavily requested by Daz's brother Adam every week for the last 16 weeks, whatever we've been doing this. So straight into Wrestlepalooza, and we did discuss in Discord really late last week that as soon as they announced that Lesnar Cena was moved to the first match, it changed the card. It turns out it didn't change the card; it just made it more shit. So I'm going to start by saying that John Cena gets moved to Raw. I get to talk about John Cena, and that's why I get served up on a Saturday night. I'm just going to turn around and say that I thought it was absolute dog shit. I thought the show peaked when we heard "Ladies and Gentlemen." That was it.
That was good.
That was it. Clearly a set up for War Games. What I don't understand is Brock no sells the first two A's because he just rolls up. And I know we're going to get to this. I'm not going to mention the specifics, but the match went less than 9 minutes, and it was relatively clean, relatively straightforward. I get the whole Brock Lesnar's the greatest combat sports athlete of all time, blah blah blah. But this match didn't. I was happy for this match to happen, but this was the one thing I didn't want to happen, and because they've announced that it was a one-time only thing and it's not happening again, I really don't see where the story goes here. I just want to jump in and just throw that back, because if they were going to set it up to do it again, okay, fine, but there was no need for this.
Yeah, first thing I'm going to do is actually give them credit for moving it from the main event to the beginning of the show. If that main evented the show, the place would have been in fucking tatters if that had main evented the show.
It does maybe give some credence to the fact that maybe the booking decision did change.
I think it definitely changed. And I'm going to be honest, I don't actually hate the fact that Brock won. Obviously, I want to see John win because we're down to 5 dates, and these are the last 5 dates we've got with this guy. Do we really want him being squashed? However, I think where the story goes for here is I think Brock is just going to tear his way through the division, because they released the first poster for Vegas WrestleMania and Brock is on it. So we've quite clearly got plans for Brock to be present throughout the rest of the year.
I don't know if it was Discord chat, I don't know if it was one of WhatsApp chats, but I just put, well, Brock Lesnar's won the Rumble straight away. I was like, they have a plan.
I did say that when we were talking about how he would be perceived by the crowd live on TV. I honestly do think they might pivot and have Brock win the Rumble. I'd love to see it be Brock and Gunther for the title, if that's the way they're going to go. But anyway, we're getting far too in front. Yeah, it was the match itself was strange. I said it in the build-up that this match will go as long as Brock is willing to work. The guy's not wrestled in 2 years. Right? He's fucking jacked. Do you know what I mean? He's so jacked. But the guy was never going to be able to put on a 25-minute match because he's not done it for that long. I also don't think Cena could sustain that punishment for that length of time either, because you've seen the Nick of Cena after 9 minutes. His body was bruised and there was welts everywhere. Yeah, I think it would have been a really good... I mean, we've had the angle before where he beats the shit out of Cena and Cena gets his redemption arc. The just really odd part is Cena has no dates booked to build his match with AJ Styles, to build that redemption, so it's just a little bit weird. But I'm maybe beginning to wonder if between now and then we'll maybe get some video packages of John Cena and some stuff on screen, and it maybe will help a little bit of build. But it'll be nice for AJ to be front and centre for the next few weeks off the back of this.
I'm going to circle back to that specific story right at the end of the pod, because there's a couple of things I do want to mention about that. But we'll come to it, because that match doesn't worry me, because I think that's fine to be a one-off because of what they did 10 years ago. My worry is what's the other 4 dates? Because it's going to be fan service, or are we going to get? Because I'm now concerned that John Cena will not put somebody over on the way out, which I'm okay.
100% will. 100% will.
That's the match that needs the build, and
it will get the build.
But I think
it will get the build.
We almost certainly know he's doing War Games in the cage, so
I think he'll probably be a surprise entrant in War Games. I think he'll be last to be picked for his team. I don't think he'll be in the build for that. I think he will be built because it's only 3 weeks after Survivor Series that he goes out in the middle of December. Is it end of November to mid-December? I know you're allegedly, Ross, but yeah. I like that you're sticking to your guns on that as well.
Just with matches like that weekend, it was probably the only one that did a little bit confuse me because, I can believe in a 15-minute match that Brock Lesnar beats John Cena. I just didn't really see the point in it being a squash. It's just odd. Brock, I don't really understand the logic behind it. Just
to clarify, sorry, we may help your point here. Cena's 2 dates for Raw are before War Games. So he's going to do 2 dates, War Games, and then his last match will have no build. That's why that worried me, because I'm like, well, if he's putting someone over on the way out, that's the one that needs a build, if that makes sense. War Games isn't the build.
Which confirms that no one is getting put over, I would say, unless they're adding more days out of nowhere.
I don't know. Nah, because I think he will still put some. There's no way John retires as a winner. I just don't see it. I really can't see it. Unless they do bring back Batista or Edge or something like that. They would need to bring somebody back because there's no build, and it would need to be Batista or Edge or something like that, or maybe even Y2J, to have that level of, it can have no build, but John can go out as the winner. I think if he's wrestling any talent that's already in the business, he'll go out in his back. I can't see him going over. But, yeah.
Sorry, Ross. I just wanted to clarify that bit there, because it was, to me, that is relevant to the last 5 dates, is when those 2 Raw dates were. But
yeah, no, I think so. It was just a really weird decision. Like, I don't have as much disappointment over the card as you guys have, and I don't have as much disappointment, certainly, as a lot of people I've seen online are saying. It's just my confusion kind of came from this. I thought the rest of the card was kind of safe booking decisions, safe outcomes. Honestly, think they could have even got a better result if they had let La Primera win the main event. I actually think that alone could have sent everyone home happy, and maybe just simply this feels a little bit different. I don't know what you guys think on that, but I guess when we get to that match, we'll speak about it. But just a little.
I think the only thing I would say about that would be that they would have had 4 very lacklustre matches in the build to a main event, and the crowd might have flattened entirely by the time they got.
That was the point I was going to
share and Io Sky. That might be the only. That might be the only thing. Maybe but I'll kind of wait for us to finish talking about Wrestlepalooza, because there's something I do want to talk about post Wrestlepalooza. I'm intrigued by.
I was going to say the same point, because I actually going to say the match, had that match not had been as good as it was, spoiler alert from my thoughts on it, I think I'd have went to bed. It could keep me going. So we're going to obviously double back on the John Cena's future. We'll talk about the AJ match a little bit at the very, very end of this show, but Brock Lesnar is going to go towards a world title. That's what that booking means to me. You don't do that for sake of it, and I just feel as though he doesn't, because I think now he has to dominate War Games, whereas we'll probably end up coming back to this next week, because we don't want to just talk about the same 2 stories. But Punk Rollins needs wrapped up pretty soon. Rhodes McIntyre needs wrapped up pretty soon, and I have some concerns about this is where my disappointment for Saturday night comes, and I'm going to get to that when I get to the 2 matches. I'll be able to explain that better. But match 2 will keep really, really short. The Vision with Paul Heyman versus the Usos. The match was actually not too bad, and I thought LA Knight played the special guest referee. It was also announced quite late on, so it worked really, really well. The obvious, I'm so surprised that Jey Uso was even involved last night, because he was gone on Saturday night, and you think, I'll give the guy a night off. He was
Aye,
out of it.
he really was.
Yeah, I was really perplexed,
Aye.
to be honest,
When
by it.
I
but-
watched Raw this morning, I was like, wait, that's not Jimmy. Like, it took me a minute. I was like, I just assumed it would have been Jimmy. I was like, he was gone. He was fucking out of it.
I think there's been a lot of chat online that Jay called an audible in the middle of the match as well to have Braun spear him because
I
he
think so.
was wobbling.
LA Knight.
Yeah,
I think
you
it
can
was
see
that-
that
it was
the
saying they
finish
come
just very quickly
Mhm.
got to that point, and it's one of those where I think we all just kind of go, yeah, fair enough. We all just kind
Yeah.
of get that, don't we?
It was well
I mean,
done.
I agree with you, Saunders. I didn't hate this match, and the only reason I didn't hate it is because it furthered the story. We spoke about who had to go over
Aye.
when we did predictions, and it did help further the story. I'm very confused about LA Knight's position in this story, though, because it ultimately ends with either the breakup of the Vision or the breakup of the Usos. And then after the Usos break up, I don't really know what happens with LA Knight. I don't know where he goes beyond this. Is probably where I'm at with it.
He's probably, ironically, potentially a safe pair of hands for ending the US Open Challenge run. But
Again, I don't hate that.
I don't hate it, but he's done
As
that.
one guy who's never going to be world champion to another, it's
Aye.
passing the parcel. You know
It's,
what I mean?
it's safe. I don't want to spend time on this match mostly because I feel like I've seen it every week on Raw. I know it's not always this.
Mhm.
The Usos, it's usually one of the Usos and somebody else, but I feel as it's the same match I've seen every week. It was a bit of a rushed ending. It was okay. It was good. It does follow the story. I feel like the Vision are moving away from Seth Rollins, and I think that's actually helped the story. These guys don't feel as lost. They have a path. I think they now need to go into the tag division and go after the tag titles. That's what has to happen for me.
They should be tag champs getting into
Crown Jewel. Coming out of Crown Jewel.
War Games.
Aye.
Beginning into War Games,
Aye.
they should be tag team champions. 100%.
Especially because of what also was teased last night. And I feel as though I rushed through some of this because Raw was actually interesting for once. That's 2 weeks in a row. Raw's pretty much delivered. We'll just jump into match 3, and this is a match that I am so happy that I get to talk about as the Raw guy and lead us on. And I've made some bold statements in this show, and I make them all the time, and I'm obviously been over clip farming for TikTok, but
Aura farming.
No, we wouldn't do that.
Is there a better professional wrestler in the world than Io Sky right now? She is absolutely on fire every week, delivering.
I've been saying it since WrestleMania.
Oh,
She's
no,
the best
oh,
wrestler in the world.
Oh, aye.
She is.
She is phenomenal, and not only that, Stephanie Vicaire got back to that level where we saw her 5 months ago when we said, like, the second week in the main roster, strap that fucking rocket and just go with them in. Not only, I'm going to say this, and I'll come to you first, Ross, because I know you're a huge fan of La Primera. Stephanie Vicaire really reminded me of what an old school wrestling persona and presentation was in Saturday Night. And what I meant by that is we've all discussed and we've all worried, what is the finisher? What is the big move that she breaks out that wins her world title, right? Because the SVB she's played about with, and it's nice, but other wrestlers do backbreaker style moves that aren't finishers, so can it really get over as a finisher? The Devil's Kiss gets the crowd involved, but again, it's not a finisher. She's done other stuff. And then that corkscrew moonsault was fucking beautiful.
I actually, I was sitting the next morning watching it with breakfast, and I actually went, "Oh my days!" And even Gemma kind of turned and was like, "What were you talking about?" It was like that, and she was like, "Oh, okay," and kind of continued on. It was beautiful. It was so good. Like that, this match was 20 minutes long, but it just completely flew by. The pair of them, top of the game. Love to see her get a title. I think then on Raw, she was good value. Thought her promo, you can tell this English lessons and stuff that she's going through is really, really helping. She's getting her point across really, really well. I'm fascinated to see where she goes because you don't know how long she's going to hold the title for. You know that Io's going to be buzzing around doing other things. We will most likely talk about her shortly again. But what a match. And genuinely was main event at a Big 4 PLE worthy. Like, it was that good. Now, that might just be because the rest of the card was just kind of samey. but it was excellent. Crowd immediately bought in from the get-go. That's why we watch wrestling, is for matches like that, I think. That was very, very good to watch.
I've got a direct question for Daz, but
Okay.
I want to come back to you first, Ross, just on one more point before I do throw it across. John Cena's retirement tour, which we love talking about every week, right? And Daz looks confused about what point is.
We've
had two back-to-back matches in this run that we loved. The SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes, from a fan service and storytelling point of view, was phenomenal. And the Logan Paul match, when he starts breaking it, other people finishers were just sitting there going, this is just fun, right? This is fun wrestling. Every other match this year that we've said this could be match of the year, Io Sky's been involved. The triple threats, this match, the Evolution match with Naomi's cash in. That's how you measure how good someone is. It's like, when was it? Because we're watching Raw every week and going, can we please see some Io Sky? Can we please see some Io Sky? And then whenever you put her on telly, you're like, that's what professional wrestling should look like. I think no one's doing it better than her.
I know that at some point we will do a dive into the backstage wrestling show that Netflix has, but there is a moment in that I cannot remember for the life of me if it's H who says it or one of the bookers, is you've got to be careful when you've got certain superstars that you want to leave the crowd wanting more. That's exactly what they're doing with her. Can we
just try to justify not booking them for 9 weeks when they were world champion?
It could be as simple as that. But just get her on the television more. She's fantastic.
But that's exactly what the point was making.
We oversaturate her.
Which Stephanie Vicaire reminded me of that old school, because we're going to sit here and we're now going to wait for another iteration of this corkscrew moonsault. It's not going to happen every week. It might happen in Australia if she wins the match, but it's going to happen. She'll bust it against an Io Sky or Rhea Ripley at some point. It's not going to happen with anybody else in the card. That's going to be that I need to finish this match off, and here is this epic finisher. And I can't. That's immediately make me want to see it again. The direct question I'm coming to you for, with Daz, is exactly the perfect segue from the point we've just had, and I appreciate Ross setting up telepathically there. It appears that we're probably working towards Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus Kairi Sane and Asuka at Crown Jewel, which will be a hard time. I really hope they do like a hardcore type match for that title tag, because I just think they could be the shit out of 20 minutes and we'll love it.
Yep.
There's obviously a possibility that's 3 out of the 4 best women in professional wrestling in the last 15 years are in that match.
Kairi.
Sorry. She's good, but she's not their level. How does the WWE booking make sure that Stephanie Vicaire doesn't fade away to weekly backstage segments and is the draw on a Monday night in that division?
Easy. She wrestles. It's the only real answer is she wrestles, because it's not going to be mic work. I do agree her promo was very, very good. She's come a long way with English, but she's not going to be able to carry the show as the champion purely by talking. She's going to have to wrestle. Much the same as Asuka did when she was world champion, and it's what failed Io in her last run, as they didn't book her enough to wrestle. It was mostly backstage segments, which is ultimately why they had to shift the title off her. I'm angry with you, Saunders, for interjecting in between Ross's points, because he did steal what I was about to say, that we're talking about how good this match was and how incredible it was. It's not even in Io's top 3 of 2025. That's how good she is.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Io will just want to another day at work for me. But what I've been most impressed about with Io Sky over the last calendar year is she's quickly gone from becoming a superstar to being able to create superstars, ultimately, and that's what I'm really impressed by, her ability to put people over, because she's obviously been wrestling for a long, long time. We spoke about this Nikki Bella shit that she paved the way when fucking Io was wrestling in Japan, do you know what I mean? But in terms of the E in particular, where you do really make it, she's only been huge on the main roster in the last 12-18 months. She really flew into that stardom. She was big in NXT as Io Shirai. So it's really, really positive to see her being able to put that kind of level of talent over. To keep Stephanie over, we need to have her winning matches in a similar manner as to what she won on Saturday night, and that is clean. It was my favourite part about the match on Saturday night, as good as it was. They did not do a screw finish for her. They did not try and say, look, you won it because of this, so try and take a wee bit of heat off you. They let her pin you clean, and that was really, really important to establish the new world champion. They're clearly all in on her, because I can't remember the last world champion who won a title, and then the following Monday night get a massive presentation and more pyro purely for winning the title. So they're clearly all in on Steph, and so they should be. I'm really intrigued to see what her first proper feud is, though, because they need to get it right. Obviously, the build with, which is why I think it might be Jade or Nia, is because Tiff's it's face on face, which doesn't really sell tickets. Face v face. Don't get me wrong, people will want to see Tiff versus Stephanie in a one-off, but face v face doesn't make for a great build. Whereas someone like Nia Jax or Jade Cargill's a little bit in the middle, where she's only in the middle because nobody really likes her, but she's not necessarily a bad woman. Do you know what I mean?
Plus, you get the issue with Tiff's promos can be hit or miss, and obviously the Michelle got personal, whereas it needs to be controlled. You're dealing with someone
who's a non-English speaker.
English.
Yeah. Which is why I think Nia's probably the best option.
Safest option.
Because it's also the best way to put Steph over at Crown Jewel, because having her beat Tiff is huge, because Tiff is, I'm going to say it, Tiffany's probably going to win more world championships than Stephanie McCare will in her time in the WWE.
I think so.
You know what I mean? So I think she'll get to Charlotte levels in terms of title run. So I think putting her over Charlotte's a massive statement to make. Putting her over Jade will finish Jade, even if she is world champion, or WWE champion at the time of that match. So it's really, really intriguing, this Stephanie Vickers stuff. I'm glad they pulled the trigger. I would not have been unhappy if it was Io Sky, because we could have just got Io Sky every week in the ring again.
I think you made an absolutely hell of a point there, that we've waxed lyrical about how good Stephanie Vickers has been for months and months, and we've waxed lyrical about how good she was in that match and how her promo skills have come on and the finish being beautiful. And yet, as we say, you don't have to win. You can get over and be a huge star by being a good professional wrestler. And we are still praising Io Sky after that match where she lost clean and put the person over, and at the end of it, I'll make an assumption that it came from the time in Japan, the bow, the presentation of the
no,
deal.
definitely is.
Like,
yeah.
You're watching that and going, this is fucking brilliant. Io Sky puts her over, dead clean, sets up Stephanie Vickers to be a megastar, and then on Monday night we're still talking about Io Sky as the best professional wrestler of 2025. And we'll have a chat as a team, whether we do this in December or whether we do it at Mania when we hit our 1 year anniversary, but we will do Golden Shovel Awards, and I'm going to suggest that based on the conversations we're having, we don't do a male and female, we do a top 10 for 12 months, whether we do it for 2025, whether we do it for Mania and Mania, and we mix them, because Io Sky and Becky Lynch, as examples, have been carrying Monday nights. Well, Becky's carried the Monday night, Io's carried the Saturday nights for months on Raw, and we should be stacking them up against everybody else. They turn up every week.
Definitely,
and
100%.
I don't think we should separate them, and that gives us nice segue into the match that in hindsight probably should have main evented.
Definitely should have main evented.
But a match that I was still quite disappointed with. And I know I'm going to maybe potentially be alone in that, but obviously not, because you just said you too.
Yeah, me too.
I accept that they had to bring AJ Lee in slowly. But anyone else can pick on this as we start, because it's coming for Raw, so it's my side anyway. But see, when we started seeing the windmill and some of the stuff, and I mentioned this 2 weeks ago, I was worried that we were going to get a Divas era AJ Lee. When I started seeing that, my mind was going, AJ can't beat Becky clean here. That would be a mistake. And it happened, and I was like, I just don't feel like that. I don't know. That would, for the story perspective, that had to be the finish, right? Because that is the feud. But the match didn't get me there, if that makes sense. What got me to that?
Makes total sense to me.
What got me there was the build in the last 2 weeks, not the matches. The story in the match didn't get me there.
Yeah, and we do agree on this, Saunders, and I'm not saying this was a bad match, right? Because See, to be honest, I enjoyed parts of it, and I thought that Punk's done a brilliant job of putting AJ Lee in the spotlight and just basically being our entourage. Basically, all of his branding is AJ's husband. Like, it's good. It puts AJ firmly back in the spotlight. My gripe with the match, which disappointed me, was we spoke about who needed the win. There was only one person who could win this because it furthers their feud. It's exactly the same as the Usos versus the Brawns, is that the one team had to go over purely to further a feud. I'm not sure a tap out was the way to go, right? I understand why they did it, because that's the move that made her famous, etc. I'm not sure having Becky tap out was the right move before. But what I will say is, I thought they did a good job of protecting AJ, because when she was in the ring, it wasn't great. And I don't mean like the spots were good. So when she was like doing a stomp on Raw, like, except like the spots were great. But I think when you look at the actual wrestling, it's mostly Thez presses and windmills, and it's not great. And I'm just thinking that, see, when all that fanfare and circus round about you is gone, am I really going to enjoy AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch? Because we're not going to have the guys to kind of prop these spots, and is it really going to be that good?
I'm worried about that. Once you lose the nostalgia pop and it's 1v1, if you put the one-on-one from Saturday night in 2 months' time, there has to be one winner. There is only one winner. Anything else makes no sense. Ross, I'm going to assume that this is perhaps the point of the card where your opinion starts to differ from myself and Daz. Just high level. Talk us through your thoughts on it, whilst also start taking us towards what it means next, because one of these feuds is starting, one of these feuds needs to fucking end.
Yeah, which I think is a very fair assessment. Look, for me, the match was pretty much how I expected it to be in a lot of the different notes. We spoke about the fact that AJ was going to be rusty. She was a little rusty. We spoke about how there maybe could be some Divas moments. There was some Divas moments, but she did have some decent spots as well. The finish was correct. Yeah, it was maybe a little long. I think that's a fair assessment. It was nearly 30 minutes long. That's maybe a little bit on the long side. You could have cut that down to 20 minutes. You could have had your sixth match and probably just about made it work as a card. But there was some good moments in this where they, you have Punk and AJ both have their sort of like moves at the same time, and then you have Becky and Seth have their moves at the same time, and you're like, this is fun. And the crowd, which is ultimately the barometer that you kind of go by, the crowd were into it for most of the match. So for me, it was fine. I think then it does lead quite nicely into AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, and I think we're all kind of intrigued to see what might happen there and where that might go. Weirdly, Seth was then sidelined a little last night, which I thought was interesting. Didn't seem like he was too involved as much. Seemed like he was just kind of sulking, to be honest, when he was backstage. Didn't even look up when Becky was speaking to him, which I thought, okay, interesting. Remains to be seen where that will go. We kind of think that they are in a little bit of a holding pattern with that situation, that they don't really know what to do. To me, the best thing they can do is write one of them off TV. Maybe you write CM Punk off for a bit or something. I don't know. Just get one of them out the way for even just a month. Maybe just makes your life a little bit easier.
I don't know if they can show the size of Perth on her eye. I don't know if they can do that. They're not going to be short of people to wrestle in Perth. You know what I mean? They're going to have a massive card. The way it's looking right now, it's going to be huge. And I would expect AJ and Becky to be on that card. I would expect that to be the case. I would
think that's a certainty at this point, yeah. But the match itself was okay. The match itself was fine. The same as the main event. Like, the match itself there was also...
the main event. We'll get to the main event.
I think we're ultimately dealing with a situation where, especially in hindsight, we were probably looking for that match to carry a little bit too much of the show. being
Potentially.
the big match, especially in hindsight, like after seeing Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and not live up to what we were looking for, you're probably expecting a match like that to like really elevate us. And ultimately, I just thought there was a lot of the spots were quite clunky because there was obviously especially the bit on the announce tables, there was two things trying to happen at the same time. You can see they're all waiting for their cues, and I'm like, it's just not flowing enough. And I don't think that's an AJ Lee Rush thing. I think that's just two time things like that. It does take a lot of coordination, but I'm watching that going, you've got ring announcers and timekeepers and your commentators, they're all supposed to, and the referee, they're supposed to pitch in and make all this help as a team thing. I thought the match was fine, and there was only one outcome. I did call for an AJ Lee GTS to Becky Lynch. I think that might have been slightly easier pill for me to swallow. Again, I'm not enamoured with the tap out situation, but AJ Lee, Becky Lynch, I had it on my Mania card. I don't think the rivalry will stretch to Mania, to be honest, now, but Punk Rollins has to end soon, and this is where I start to get worried with the Rollins and the WWE Championship, which for some reason still called the Undisputed, but the WWE Championship is neither title's changing hands at Crown Jewel. More than likely, neither title will change hands at War Games because we expect
both to be in War Games.
Literally the 10 biggest stars in the world, 5 heels, 5 faces to be in the War Games match seems to be the way it's going. You're then realistically probably not changing the title on Cena's last match because that would overshadow that.
Unless, of course, it is the first match of the evening. The only way you could make it work. That's the only way.
At that point, we haven't seen a WWE World Men's Championship change hands for a long time.
The only thing I will say is I cannot see them booking Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes to drop their title in the opening match of a Saturday night main event on cable TV. I just don't see it. I really don't. However, there is one in the 1st of November where one of them could main event. It was advertised last night, 1st of November. It was a Saturday night main event. I can't remember where it is, but it was advertised on Raw last night.
The one in Utah.
Because SmackDown's obviously Halloween. So there's always a possibility. I would expect Halloween Havoc to be the Saturday.
I know we have Netflix here, but the fact is that you're going to put a World Championship title change
I don't think
on YouTube, because it is on YouTube outside the US, and you can VPN YouTube.
To be fair, they've changed world titles at house shows before. It's not impossible. I just don't see it.
No, not
for that level. Not for that level of champion either.
I would also not when the TV deals are now billions. That's brilliant. I'm worried that both these guys hold to Mania and beyond, and that's terrifying. And
I don't know. I think Brock might win it. I think Brock might be champion going into WrestleMania, to be honest, the way things are going. And I think that might be Royal Rumble, and it keeps him out of the Rumble match so that you can have an actual Royal Rumble winner. And that would then lead me to think it might be Gunther who wins the Royal Rumble, depending on how all that goes. But anyway,
I think that's a good shout. I think part of me thinks Gunther would be good, and part of me thinks even running back Drew versus Brock properly would be good, because we kind of got robbed of that because of COVID. We had
Cody versus Brock as well, you know. Way back when he F5'd Cody when he was supposed to team him. Everyone still would that match.
He put him over, didn't he? That was his last match. It was that SummerSlam match? Remember at the end it, he basically ripped his arm off trying to celebrate with the crowd. Cody beat him clean.
Oh yeah.
Add that to the list of shit that he's got in the last 2 years. Which takes us nicely into the main event, which I just fucking hated.
I get to start with, but yay!
Right, you can go. I just want you to answer the question at some point in this thing. Why did the referee stop Drew McIntyre doing a perfect legal move, but then not intervene when Drew was injured?
Do me a favour. Stop talking for my segments, right? Because you're ruining my night, right? I'm having a real issue with the booking, and it's one of the things that pissed me off massively about this match is they stopped Randy Orton doing the punt on SmackDown. It's not an illegal move, right? Especially while fucking Penta's doing multiple fucking Mexican destroyers every week on Ronnie's fucking finding new ways to do it. I don't understand why Drew was prevented from being able to do what he did to Cody on SmackDown, it makes no sense. It's a totally legal thing. People go through announce tables all the time. It's just a variation in which they can put it through. It's one of the two things that really severed the match for me. The other thing is there is not a fucking chance in the world that Drew McIntyre deserved to lose that match clean in the manner that he did. Right? And I've got a couple of... If Cody Rhodes is trying to sell some sort of concussion injury with his fucking glitches in the middle of this match, he done an awful job of it. Right? The storytelling on his behalf in that regard was really, really poor. When he's going to do Cody Cutter off the rope and he stumbles and goes down on one knee. Like, I don't really understand what we're doing. And then, when has anybody ever, and I mean ever, stumbled doing something like a Claymore because I've got a sore leg and that's the spot that buries you? I thought it was a really, really shit main event. See, for the caliber of the two guys I've got, I don't like Cody, right? But he is A1, he's QB1 for them, right? I don't think it did anything for either person on Saturday, and that's probably my biggest gripe, is that I still don't believe Cody should be champion after watching that. I don't think it was a champion's performance. I actually think it's arguably the worst I've seen Cody in the ring since he come back, if I'm being brutally honest. And I thought Drew was great. The booking fucking sucks. And, like, I get you don't want Cody to look like he's a bad guy. Like, I understand that. But if Drew's going to lose clean, it needs to be in the same manner that Cena lost clean. It needs to be a proper wrestling match. It needs to have the ebb and flow of the could Drew actually do this? Actually, Cody might do it. Actually, it might be Drew. It needs to have that back and forward, and it really didn't. The fact that we cut a match off this card and they still were serving that up, and it was a 9-minute squash at the beginning of the show. It takes me straight back to Ross's point. We should have cut 10-15 minutes off AJ Lee and CM Punk's tag match and stuck it on the end of this and made it an actual wrestling match, because it did nothing for either person, and I'm really, really worried about what's next for Drew McIntyre.
So, I mean, you've summed up. I think you and I have deliberately tried not to talk about this the last 2 days because we just would have ranted and ranted and ranted.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was talking to Adam earlier, I was like, I need to save what I'm going to say for the night, and we'll come to Ross because I know Ross does see this match slightly differently. Not only was the referee's bit confusing, it's like the referee's job is, if he does something he's not allowed to do, you call the DQ. You don't stop it happening. That's not your fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
I just, and it's, it's really strange. We've called for the whole year. We've said there's too much interference in matches, and then we get a whole carbon interference, and we're like,
it was awful.
He did something, and obviously we take everything we read online with a pinch of salt, especially if it says Brian Alvarez or Dave Meltzer at the end of it. But there seems to be some reports that Orton, Cody and Drew were all pushing for Orton to accidentally cost Cody, whilst trying to prevent that spot happening.
Makes the perfect booking.
And even if Drew holds it for a couple of months and then, whilst Cody is part-time and then pitches it back for the Mania run, I think it would have worked out really well. Drew's now lost 17 of his last 18 world title matches. I think it's the start of 16 17. It's ridiculous. And we talked about it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. We talked about it with Kevin Owens as well. These guys are so good that they have to be at that level of match. But then they go, but we don't want them there because we've got a match planned in 6 months' time and it's hot potato with a title. And that's what worries me, because Drew McIntyre will not challenge for a title at Crown Jewel, and will more than likely not challenge at War Games if the current plan seems to be as the case. But if I'm somebody like Drew McIntyre, I'm like, why would I even want to go into War Games? Why would I want my title match, and I don't want screwed with the referee? Then it's the 2 Saturday night main events, which
Are we getting a PLE at the end of December? Is that being confirmed?
Scheduled? It's not scheduled, and that's what's surprising me. I don't understand why there isn't one. And then you've got the Rumble build, and at that point, I would be looking to more a Brock Lesnar move than a Drew McIntyre. Both titles won't change, and that's where I'm worried.
Not unless they're planning to have Drew win the Royal Rumble, but we've seen it. And it's what worries me is that Drew's excellent at chasing, and he's so captivating in what he does. He's excellent at what he does. Even his build for this match with Cody, which was relatively short, the contract signing Drew was brilliant. And
he can carry feuds himself on Twitter. He's elite.
And it's really what I don't understand about the booking of this match was it made him look so weak. And
it made him look a bitch.
He's your best big guy on that brand, without a shadow of a doubt. So, and I mean that over Brock as well. I think he's a much more captivating person than Brock.
I'm going to,
Brock, you know what you get with Brock.
I'm going to wrap up my last thoughts and then allow Ross to do his overall bit because he's definitely going to counterpoint some of your stuff. Like I said, my biggest worry is that I think they cheapened Punk's return with the SummerSlam hold title for 2 minutes thing. I think that cheapened that. We said that at the time.
Totally.
I think we all agreed on that roughly. That if they're going to do it properly, I think you're now in a situation where you're almost back in a corner with two champions and Money in the Bank's gone. How do you get around that? You've got no actual shows now to the end of the year because of how Crown Jewel War Games work and then Cena's retirement. My big concern, as you say, is Cody's return redemption story was brilliant. Finished the story, but he's still playing the finished the story character, but the story's fucking finished. Go and do something else. And maybe it's not him, maybe it is a whole we don't want to turn heel thing, but he's boring.
He's in his 40s, he should be helping other people finish their stories. He's in his 40s. That's fair.
So, Ross, you've now listened to us ramble, and I've said a million times in this pod, you do have a slightly different opinion of this. Maybe Daz and I are just harsh on the last 2 minutes versus the first 15 of the match, but what we've seen Cody Rhodes use to put people away for world title matches versus one, essentially it was one Crossroads.
Yeah, I think that is ultimately what is souring people's opinion of it. Like the match itself, it was an interesting angle, and I think it's a really good way of leaving it open for more if you in effect actually kind of screw the heel a little bit. You don't tend to see that as often. You don't tend to see heels getting screwed out of things. It's usually the other way around. It's usually a heel forcing a screw job.
We didn't get
that
screwed.
Was interesting. I think so. I think if you think the referee's actions are odd and are very strange and not really letting them do what you want to do, then I would say that it probably is the sort of definition of that, right?
Screw, it's just bullshit.
Well, it's the same thing, ultimately, isn't it? You can kind of see the promo that he can cut afterwards.
I
Obviously, the
mean, you're also mixing up the referee just fucked off up the ramp for 10 seconds as well at one point for no reason.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it's basically, I think that match to me looked like it was the vehicle for the next thing, because they've kind of used it as here's the moments for a video package for the actual next match.
What is the next
when is it? Because there's Crown Jewel.
That's the question mark, because we just simply don't know. It's probably one of those ones where we do have to just
on a Saturday night event. Not going to fucking.
Well, you don't know. Like, I think the aim, obviously, with this was purely just to get an ESPN event out there, because we'd seen it. They rushed some events to get to this deal as quickly as they possibly could. For me, it is that kind of thing where you're going to a new audience and they sit down to see this and they might start to sympathise with the treatment of one of the people in your main event. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to let this one play out. We might look back at this in hindsight and you guys may be able to in a couple of months go, what the hell were you talking about? This has been an absolute nonsense. But maybe we might be a little bit surprised and go, no, actually, it was fine. I thought the match itself was okay, and those moments were fine. It was just, the ending obviously leaves you with questions, but it's ones where I'm like, I'm okay giving it a couple of weeks to see what they might do. Obviously, we all have the concern of they might not be able to salvage it, but maybe it's just as simple a case of we have Super Cody, and maybe that's all it boils down to. I don't know.
If he's Super
I'd like to request a transfer to TNA if that's the case.
I know, he needs to put 20 pound of muscle in for the Super Cody. He's a fucking cruiserweight.
I want to come in on something you said, Ross, and it's the thing I wanted to talk about at the end. This was their flagship ESPN show, and ESPN have dragged it through the mud and said it was bang average and would have been if it was not for Io Sky and Stephanie Vicaire. They've
It's kind
dragged
of what we
this
said, I
card.
suppose, right?
It's been dragged through the mud. But
the guy who writes the wrestling segment is an AEW homer. If you go and look at his stuff, he's in every episode
I
of
get that.
Alvarez.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is, he also works for the company that is paying money for these shows. Do you know what I mean? So
I like that he's allowed to give his opinion, though. Like, he's clearly not been told you have to go and say that was fantastic. I like that.
But what my concern would be is that ESPN are now showing the PLEs. Do you trust that ESPN will say, "Oh yeah, go and run that match back because that was great"? I really don't see Drew Cody 2 for a long time, especially in a one-on-one. Unless it's Saturday Night Main Event, in which case
I don't think we're
he's a
getting
stick on to lose again. He's a stick on to lose again.
I don't think we're getting at all.
It just takes me back to what I said. Like, it did nothing for either of them, in my opinion. The way it was booked to the finish. Because see, if you had a 35-40 minute match where the two of them put everything in a line, Cody beats him clean, shake hands, move on. I can take that type of loss for a guy like Drew. I just don't think it did anything for either of them. It's the same as Cena. Like when he took the title off Cena, it didn't hurt Cena because, well, A, it's John Cena, and B, Cena looked fucking incredible in that match. I didn't feel that for Drew. It sucks. I'm a bit deflated by it.
I was deflated by it. I know we're massive homers, but
careful.
The guy.
Subtitles are going to out us on that one.
The guy earns his way back to this level every time he gets pushed away. Like Damien Priest is disappeared off the face of the earth, but Drew McIntyre's still sitting there going, "I am the best in the world. I'm at that level," which he always is. It's clear that he's probably not going to be involved at Mania at that level, and the way SummerSlam's being run, he won't be involved there. That's why I'm saying I don't think it will happen again. I think it's going to end up squashed in somewhere. The only other point I wanted to kind of make on this match before we move on is I think I would have been more intrigued had they been given a proper build had Cody been about. But it's I don't know. I just felt like it felt clunky. It just felt like it's where is it going? It's an awful big match to have as a one-off, especially when Drew McIntyre carries a feud better than anyone else does in the business.
I think it's probably a case of it's SmackDown, and for your SmackDown title, you just need two of your biggest stars because this is the flagship ESPN show. I just think they try to shoehorn as many stars onto the show as they could.
See if you genuinely want to build sympathy for Drew McIntyre, run the Bloodline Hunter story that he started and then they pulled because it was going to turn into the greatest story in the history of professional wrestling. Have him go and pick off everybody one by one if you don't want him in the title picture.
See, even at that, even if Roman had appeared and just fucked shit up, like it just would have been a different angle. I'm really disappointed just in the way that he beat Drew more than anything else. I'm not saying that Drew 100% should have went over. I can accept Drew losing, and as long as it makes him look good.
I think especially when they get 17 minutes versus 29 for the match before, and you're like, split that. So 22 and 22.
The other match would have benefited from another 5-10 minutes, 100%.
I don't know if maybe the mixed tag match was rewritten slightly, possibly accommodate the fact that we're assuming that match 2, the tag match, was probably cut a few minutes at least.
Maybe.
What I will say as well is they were talking about the ESPN flagship show. It was very, very clear there was a lot of Americans watching on Netflix because they were kept saying, "Wait, are we getting ad breaks?" Because we had, and that's ad breaks and PLEs. We've just ticked over the hour mark. So Raw last night was very enjoyable. I, even though I want to see Penta do better things, I'm enjoying Penta's work, and I think the New Day have just found the heel turn just for a wee sweet spot here that they should have got to probably when they first split up with Big E. I still want Grayson Waller the fuck away for him. But I'm not going to spend too long on Raw because these stories are going to continue next week, and we've got next week anyway. But we will talk about the match that was announced a few hours ago. It should have been Paris. AJ Styles, John Cena. There is a few reports kicking about there that John Cena versus Dom Mysterio has been discussed, which is the match we've kind of been calling for as a team. At some point. Now, AJ Styles, John Cena needs no build. So that's the good thing. They can just go out and have a good match, 20 odd minutes, and some fan service and tell a story. But yeah, is that the right match at the right time? Probably. It's just a couple months late, but
yeah, it's a perfect booking. Like, you don't need John, and that's what I said earlier. It's going to be really refreshing to have AJ front and centre for the next few weeks on Raw to help build this. Not that it needs much build, if I'm being really honest, because we all remember the beat up John Cena. Like, it was great, and it was the corniest shit I've ever seen, but it just worked with AJ and the club. It just worked. It just worked. So yeah, I'm really looking forward. Probably the match I'm most looking forward to so far on the card. I want to see these two run it back because it's probably the best fan service. I think it will be the best fan service one so far. I think it definitely will be.
Ross, any chance you think of a stipulation of possibly number one contendership for that IC title? Just to add a wee bit of spice?
I think that could be really, really good. I think that's a great idea, actually. I think they have to kind of give it a little bit of something because obviously this match is only a few weeks' time. And yes, I think we are all in agreement that we think it's just a little bit too late and it should have been done earlier. Styles is going to have to do all of this on his own and seems to be stuck in the El Grande Americano vortex, which is, I don't get me wrong, I'm still finding that all very amusing because I am literally a 6-year-old at heart, right? And I just find the idea very funny. That's what I'm interested to see how they do that and how they chuck that in, because it's a perfect way of then putting someone like Dom up another little, nudge him up just another little level.
I think Dom will still have the title in December?
Well,
do you really think he goes over Finn Balor? Do you think he'll go over that?
So that was something that I was going to talk about tonight, but obviously time I was going to save it for next week. It's an interesting one because when you watch Finn Balor at NXT Homecoming, it's like that's the Finn Balor that's a world champion.
That's a face Finn Balor, but absolutely.
Dom's going to get cheated, isn't he? They're both going to get cheated. It's a really difficult. That's like if they can. It's
also the perfect kind of person to take the belt off him, though, isn't it?
It's so safe
because everybody wants to see Finn succeed again. We've all been waiting for it since he had to give up the Universal title.
Everybody wants to see Dom go to the fucking moon.
I was actually thinking that if they do Dom and Cena, I actually think it might be for the Triple A. Do you know that? I think that would be really like to have that on a WWE show.
Can we get Juan Cena at WrestleMania next year?
Juan Cena, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, by the way, you have fucking struck gold.
Juan Cena, Grand Americano for the Triple A.
Yeah,
championship. I'm intrigued by this match, and it does disappoint me that obviously we've got no Cena until Crown Jewel, but it is the one match that doesn't need a total build up. They can do that with videotape packages. They can certainly do that through socials. You've got John Cena up on his Instagram there, the Captain Phillips. So look at me, I am the captain now. This is the type of character we wanted to see for John Cena. Him just dictating terms. This could work. If he does this, he's racing with it. I hope he turns around and says, "I'm not doing war games. I want to wrestle this person."
That would be really good.
Because the one person that for me is missing for this is Edge.
And it won't be part of it.
It won't be
there's
part
no
of
way
it.
that there's no way that Tony opens the forbidden door for him. There's no way Tony will open the door for him. It's important. He's far too bitter. He's a bitter little man. Yeah.
And with that being said, it is time to sort of wrap up this week's pod. Appreciate everybody joining us as usual. Follow us on all the usual socials. But I'm going to just finish with a wee plea to the people of Western Australia. You need to make sure this AJ Styles John Cena match gets the service from the crowd that it deserves. The reason we say it's happened in Paris is because the noise in that arena has been phenomenal, and obviously they get so behind AJ Styles. AJ Styles was given an entrance during an ad break and hidden on the Monday night.
No.
I think everything needs to remember as well, not only is this John Cena's retirement tour, AJ's only 2 months behind him. And he is, for me, one of my top 10 favourite wrestlers of all time. I've been watching him through TNA. He is an icon within professional wrestling. I want to see they two go out, have 20 minutes, have fun, do fan service, get the crowd on side, have massive spots, and at the end of it, they're bowing to 4 sides of the arena and everybody's just going fucking apeshit. That's what I want to see in 3 weeks' time. Is no matter what happens after that match, I want that to be the match that we're remembering the two guys for. They did it 10 years ago at the top of the card, and then they stole the show 2 and 3 months for the retirement. That's what I want to see in October. And I think that has to be on the crowd in Australia to give the big match feeling whenever it's on the card. That's my plea to the people. That's my plea. The people of Western Australia, you've got one job. Don't let
I have a much more straightforward plea than that. It's a lot easier. Got any subscribe to us on YouTube, please?
and also to that. Aye.
Thanks.
Aye. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you on Saturday for squash.